So let's start.
Yes. Star Meher Baba ki jai.
Star Meher Baba ki jai.
So we can start. Scroll up, please. Scroll up. Yeah, we can do. No, further up, further up. You were right on the page I wanted. Further up, further up.
This is the Aarti
Oh,
actually. This
okay,
is
okay,
done.
okay, okay. This is, yeah, down, down. Yeah, sorry. You're right on the page. No.
I think this is the one,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah, yeah. You can do 7 realities. Yes.
Shall I read or?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
Okay, Avtar Meher Baba ki jai. The seven realities: existence, love, sacrifice, renunciation, knowledge, control, and surrender. I give no importance to creed, dogma, caste, or the performance of religious ceremonies and rites, but to the understanding of the following. 1. The only real existence is that of the one and only God, who is the self in every finite self. 2. The only real love is the love for this infinity God, which arouses an intense longing to see, know, and become one with its truth, God. 3. The only real sacrifice is that in which, in pursuance of this love, all things, body, mind, position, welfare, and even life itself are sacrificed. 4. The only real renunciation is that which abandons, even in the midst of worldly duties, all selfish thoughts and desires. 5. The only real knowledge is the knowledge that God is the inner dweller in good people and in so called bad, in saint and in so called sinner. This knowledge requires you to help all equally as circumstances demand without expectation of reward. When compelled to take part in a dispute, to act without the slightest trace of enmity or hatred, to try to make others happy with brotherly or sisterly feeling for each one, and to harm no one in thought, word, or deed, not even those who harm you. 6. The only real control is the discipline of the senses to abstain from indulgence in low desires, which alone ensures absolute purity of character. 7. The only real surrender is that in which poise is undisturbed by any adverse circumstance, and the individual, amidst every kind of hardship, is resigned with perfect calm to the will of God. Given by Meher Baba in 1952, Avatar Meher Baba ki Jai.
Baba ki jai. So I will start from here. I will start from here,
Yeah,
and maybe then
before that,
in between.
yeah. Before that, I'll just get the context of where we are. And so we are on, we finished Sanskaras, and now, can you see my screen?
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah,
we
yeah.
can.
So we finished Sanskaras, and we are now on the theme of God. So if you look at the chapters there are 6 chapters in all, and we started last week with God and the individual, and just so that we go through the para headings here. Uh, I'll just read that out, and then maybe we can get into the actual reading. By the way, how's your throat, Ashish? You said you're unwell.
Yeah, it's still little bit is there, but as long as I can read, I will read.
No,
If
no,
I
no.
have
So
I face
I
some
can read
problem,
as well. I can read as well. No problem. So,
yeah, yes, I
so
will
the
start.
yeah.
Yeah, I will start.
So
If I
it's
face something, I will.
sure. Uh, okay. So I'll just read the para headings. So, oops, wrong one. So it's God is the only reality and the apparent existence of the finite. This is an important thing. So we take what is thanks to the principle of Maya, we are able to give credibility and importance to what is finite. What is finite is a creative universe. And then you have the cause of false thinking. What is the one that causes that false thinking? Scope of full consciousness. And the key concept, I know we dwelt at it at length last time, individualization of full consciousness. And then from there, we go to separateness, exists only in imagination. There is objective universe, triple entanglement and duality. I think that's where we were when we stopped last time. And then there is a chasm between consciousness and unconsciousness. Spiritual advancement, deep sleep. There is a big linkage between deep sleep and the states of consciousness. We'll see that. Conscious union with the infinite reality and state of perfection. So this is what we are going to see in this chapter. Then from there, we go to the chapter called Perfection, the search for God, stages on the path, arriving at self-knowledge and God realization. Right. With that, I'll stop sharing, and you can take over. And I can read as well.
Right now, I can definitely start with reading. So let me share my screen again. Okay, Avatar Meher Baba ki jai. So last time we finished this separateness exists only in the imagination, and that part was completed. And next is now objective universe. Yeah, so I will start with the objective universe, which starts from here. Side by side with the birth of the separate and limited individuality, there also comes into existence the objective universe. As the limited individuality has separate existence, not in fact, but only in imagination, the objective universe also has no independent and separate reality. It is the it is the one universal self appearing in the second role of manifestation through these attributes. When the soul descends into the domain of Maya, it takes upon itself the limitations of manifold existence. This self-limitation of the soul might be looked upon as its self-sacrifice as the altar of consciousness. Although it eternally remains the same infinite absolute, it suffers a kind of timeless contraction through its apparent descent into the world of time, variety, and evolution. What really evolves, however, is not the soul itself, but only the consciousness which, because of its limitations, give rise to the limited individuality. The next topic is.
I'll stop you there. I'll stop you there. Can you increase the zoom so that we can see more of the text in the screen each time? So you can use the plus, yeah, even more. Yeah, and then center it so that that's a little bit, yeah. And now you can scroll down. Let's go back to that. It's a beautiful phraseology that we have just you just read. Yeah, no, up, go up. Yeah. So there are many good expressions that are used here. The timeless contraction. So it's a contraction because it's suffering a limitation which is unreal. It's an unreal limitation that it is getting subject to. And the second thing is this apparent descent into the world of three things: time, variety, and evolution. Time, because there is no idea of time when you are not in the objective universe. Only with contact with the objective universe, the idea of time is born. Second is variety. Variety is the distinction or the duality that comes between you and the other. And the third is the fact that this apparent separative existence also goes through change, and that's the evolution. In fact, it would be great if you could just mark this line out, right? So underline, or yeah, although to evolution. It's a beautiful expression, right? And I just wanted to point that out, right? Any other thoughts?
Agreed, Karthik. I really endorse what you said, and also the analogy of how it takes us into the unreal, or let's say the you know uh, the mirage created by Maya. It's sort of a the, from the soul is subjected to a sort of a mirage, which is not the absolute reality.
Correct, correct. So I think the classic Shankara analogy is the best, right? Shankara analogy of the sarpa, the snake, the rope and the snake, right? So it's that's what I am reminded of when we are reading this.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. You can continue. Any other comments? Please continue.
Okay. Yeah. Triple entanglement and duality. The history of the limited individuality is a history of the development of triple entanglement with mind, energy, and matter. In the bracket, it's a body. Duality prevails in all these domains, and the soul gets entangled therein, although it is in essence beyond duality. Duality implies the existence of opposites limiting and balancing each other through mutual tension. Good and bad, virtue and vice are examples of such opposites. The ignorant soul, enmeshed in duality, is in the clutches of both good and bad. The duality of good and bad arises due to ignorance. But once entangled with it, the soul comes under its way. Sorry.
Again, there is a beautiful thought here, but again, I have a question. So, what is the triple entanglement here? What are the three things that we are more familiar with from our phraseology than mind, energy, and matter? So,
Mind, energy, and matter. Yeah.
and matter, right? So, what is the three things there? The three things are nothing but the GSM, gross, subtle, and mental, right? So, the mind is the mental body, mental world, mental sphere. Energy is nothing but the subtle world, and matter is the gross world. So it's not used in that way here, but that's the reference that is being made to triple entanglement. So though the para heading is talking about, yeah, it's already talking about both the things. So there's triple and dual, right? The triple entanglement is GSM, and duality is the distinction, the apparent distinction that we start recognizing and believing in. Yes, sir. We can continue.
Yeah. Virtue and vice. What's this virtue and vice?
Did you scroll down, or you're just
No,
making
no.
a comment?
I was just asking what's
Yeah,
this
yeah.
virtue and vice?
So virtue is good behavior, good good attributes, and vice is the negative attributes.
Bad one.
So both, so it's like good and bad in another sense, right?
Yeah,
It's the same as good and bad.
I will continue.
Sure.
During the evolution of the triple entanglement with matter in bracket body, energy, and mind, the ignorant soul is continually in the grip of wanting. It wants the good and bad of the gross world. It wants the good and bad of the subtle world, and it wants the good and bad of the mental world. And owing to this distinction of good and bad, wanting itself becomes good and bad. Wanting thus comes to be inevitably limited by the perpetual tension of the opposites. This gives rise to unending oscillation from one state to another without arriving at the unlimited state, which can only be discovered in the unchanging, eternal aspect of life. The infinite is to be sought beyond the domain of duality. This becomes possible only when consciousness can emerge from the limited individuality by breaking through the barriers of the sanskaras. We have seen that the possible field of consciousness is limited by the sanskaras. The limitation creates a division of the human psyche into two parts. One part fall within the range of consciousness and other part fall beyond it. The unconscious part in its full extent is identical with the power that is behind matter. Actually, it comes under chasm between consciousness and unconsciousness. It is referred to as a God by the Orthodox religions. The ultimate reality, which is symbolically represented to such concepts, can be known fully only by bringing the unconscious into consciousness. An extension of consciousness consists in being conscious of that which was formerly a part of the unconscious. The progressive conquest of the unconscious by the conscious culminates in consummate consciousness, which is unlimited in scope and unhindered in function. Between this highest state of consciousness and limited through full consciousness of average humanity, there are about 49 degrees of illuminated consciousness. They mark the important stages of growing illumination. Okay. I will move further.
Anybody
Spiritual.
wants to comment on that? On the paragraph that was just read? In fact, do you have access to Trello or should I share my screen?
I have access, but
There is a 49 degrees reference that's there. Let me open it up.
okay.
You're opening it? Okay, cool.
Trying to.
So if you go to God and the individual,
Sorry.
if you go to the God pillar, just right of that, right.
Sorry.
Yeah, the one with the orange is what we are reading.
God, right?
Yeah, just open that God and the individual. Yeah, so if you see the image there, there is a reference to that 49 degrees. And there is a reference added as well, I think. Yeah. So this is from another book. There are 49 steps in the ascent through the planes. The 49 steps referred to here are the seven planes, the seven planes of consciousness. And within each plane, there are seven levels. So you can just read this out.
Yeah. There are 49 steps in the ascent through the planes. The human mind delights in perceiving and creating symmetry and proportion everywhere, but this tendency should not be carried into the realm of facts. The 49 steps in the path are not evenly distributed within the seven planes. They are distributed from each other because of their distinguishing psychic characters, that's it. It is, although they have,
Yeah, I think that's it.
that's
So,
it, yeah.
and if you go down to the, just close this and go down to the references.
Karthik, although they have is incomplete.
Yeah, see, yeah, so this is Beams P12. So that reference is coming from Beams, page 12, para 2.
Okay.
References are quoted there. Open the Lord Meher. This is for consciousness, I think. We'll get to that. So that's the specific reference in the last paragraph on the 49 steps. But the more important thing that's being talked about there is the concept of consciousness and unconsciousness. Any
Consciousness.
questions, any comments on that? So when does that break, or the dual nature of that first gets exposed? So going back to our sanskaras, right?
So it starts with unconsciousness, then we come to the consciousness, and at the end again consciousness.
Correct. The conscious exploration of unconsciousness is the objective, right? So if you go to go back to the text maybe now, discourses text, please. Yeah.
So it's a 49 steps.
Correct. So the phrase that's important here is the extension of consciousness consists in being conscious of that which was formerly a part of the unconsciousness. So the exploration of the whole journey of the soul, the biography of the soul, is only to experience divinity with consciousness, in conscious state, right? So that's the objective and the progress of the whole journey of the soul, right? So that's what's being talked about here. In that journey, there are 49 degrees of illumined consciousness. They mark the important stages of growing illumination. Yeah, please continue. Any thoughts?
Yeah, yeah.
I
I
think it's
just
just
want
me
to
and
add
Ash. Yeah.
that part which you read about from beams, and that these 49 steps are not equal or symmetrical. That is
Yes, yes. Thanks for pointing that out. So it's 49, but not to be mistaken as 7 equal steps in each of the 7 planes and then reaching to 49 as a total. Instead, it is, I mean, it's basically not uh, symmetrical.
yeah, it's not symmetrical.
Thank you.
It's not 7 into 7.
It is 7 into 7 arithmetically, but it's not equal parts or
Yes.
equal intensity and
Okay.
strength.
Yeah, you. Thanks for elaborating that. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Spiritual advancement.
Yeah, Mamaji is saying something.
Here, we need to understand very clearly 3 or 4 aspects. One is unconsciousness, consciousness, consciously coming out of unconsciousness. That is one thing. And sanskaras. Then the planes of our journey and the embodiments that we have while we are traversing the planes. So the gross body, then the subtle sphere where we have a gross bodiless state, then the mental sphere. So how do we integrate and the steps involved in this journey? 49 uneven steps as such. So how do we integrate all these things and understand this challenge? Jai Baba.
So, like you said, it's a challenge, but I think the mm, the way the phrase, the para heading itself is right. So both happen simultaneously. The triple entanglement of GSM and the fact that you also have duality, where there is the three aspects of variety, evolution, and what is the first one? What is that? Three phrases that we marked in the earlier. Can you just scroll up?
Mind,
Scroll up,
mental.
please. No. Not mental. The three natures.
Yeah, three nature. Yes.
I think you
Just a second.
marked it, right?
No, but it's just my local PDF. So
Yeah, I
I
know, but
can't.
you marked it. So it's just triple entanglement.
This is the
Goodbye.
mind, energy, and matter. This is the one.
No. There was another phrase which I liked. Just scroll down. Maybe the next. Maybe above that. Sorry.
Above that.
Above that. Yeah, above triple entanglement. Yeah, time.
This
Yeah,
one we read
time,
last time.
time, variety, and evolution. So the all this is happening simultaneously. To go back to Mamaji's question, so the concept of time, the concept of variety and evolution start at the same time as the three worlds. The intensity and the profusion of one at given time is different. So you may have dominance of gross body, you may have dominance of the you'll move to the mental sphere, and then you move to the first you move to the subtle sphere, then you move to the mental sphere. So all of this is happening together, and so in a sense, it's not integrated from the human understanding of time, but it's in a sense happening in parallel. Everything is happening together. So after the whim, after the first sanskara, uh, time is born, apparent reality is the nothing comes into existence, all of that, right? So yeah, it's something to think and meditate upon. No easy answers, but
Yes.
it's there.
Karthik, can I suggest that we underline this absolute? It suffers a kind of timeless contraction through its apparent descent into the world of time, variety, and evolution. This
Yes, please. And I'll update it in the copy as well. So you just mark it and send me these pages, then I will mark it.
So the whole purpose of this complex sort of journey is
Mhm.
to find the answer for who am I.
That's it.
That's it. Yes.
Yeah. So
And the purpose of evolution sanskara is to increase the consciousness, to go levels of consciousness so that the fully conscious can understand or experience who am I.
only with full consciousness can
Yes, yes.
you experience it. So first you go through the evolution of form, which is nothing but evolution of consciousness. And when it reaches its pinnacle, you're able to understand and better appreciate the thing. And that's the
Realize.
end of the story. Yeah.
So better term will be realization.
Realize.
Realize.
Correct.
Yes.
Correct.
uh,
When we say understand or things like that in India, the English dictionary, it is always in duality. So somebody doesn't
Mundane.
understand either. So realize is only centrally, individually placed.
Correct. Correct. I mean, each of these words, if you meditate on it, it's so, like you said, understand is a very mundane, first level
Yes, yes,
meaning, whereas realization, realize, right? So if you think about it, it's a profound meaning.
yes,
Likewise, the simple word individuality, right? So individuality is, in its root, has dual, right? So
yes,
when you start thinking you're an individual, when you start the distinction of being separate from somebody else.
yes.
So beautiful thing that hit me not very long back. Till then, you just take these words as just another word, right? Individual is, we have taken it for granted.
Yes.
But in individual, there is dual. Yeah. Yes, sir. We can continue, Ashish.
Yeah.
So spiritual advancement, right?
Deep sleep.
No, no, spiritual advancement.
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Spiritual advancement. The gulf between the clouded consciousness of average humanity and the fully illuminate consciousness of a perfect master is created by sanskaras that give rise to egoism that can be removed through perfect character, devotion, and selfless service. But the best result in this direction are attained through the help of a perfect master. Spiritual advancement consists not in the further development of consciousness in the bracket, for it is already fully developed in a man, bracket close, but in emancipation of consciousness from bondage of sanskaras. Although, in essence, consciousness is the same in all different states of existence, it can never be consummate unless it can reflect the knowledge of infinity without the least shadow of ignorance, and also cover the whole extent of creation, illumining the different spheres of existence.
You
So,
can you can just pan left a little bit. I think the last part is getting chopped off on the right side. Just pan left. Move the page. Yeah.
sorry. Yeah, that's good. I missed that one. Oh,
Before. Whoa. Think
no. Let me search it. Let me search. Just a second.
it's. I think it's page.
It's page 20, I think.
Page 20.
That's what I think we were.
Second.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
the one.
Okay. Spiritual advancement. Okay.
Yeah, we finished spiritual advancement. Now we get to deep sleep.
Deep sleep. Yeah.
I can
Deep
read
sleep.
now if you want. Yeah, if you want, I can read deep sleep.
Maybe five. I will continue for next 5-10 minutes. Then maybe
Okay, sure,
you can take it. Yeah.
sure.
Every time every time you go to sleep, you are unconsciously united with the infinite reality. This unification involves the extension of unconsciousness over consciousness. It thus bridges over the chasm between the unconsciousness and consciousness. Conscious. Sorry. It thus bridges over the chasm between the unconscious and the conscious. But being unconscious of this union, you do not consciously derive any benefit from it. This is the reason why, when you wake up again from deep sleep, you become aware of the self same humdrum individual or humdrum individual, and you begin to act and experience exactly as you acted and experienced before going to sleep. If your union with the supreme reality had been a conscious union, you would have awakened into a completely new and infinitely rich life. Okay, this is also good. Yeah.
So what's happening is you're that close to self-realization every time you go to sleep. But every time you go to deep sleep, and the the words are very confusing as usual. So if you see here, the phrase "but being unconscious of this union," you're already having the confusion over unconscious and conscious in the previous line, and the way it is described is "but being unconscious of this union, you do not consciously derive any benefit from it." What is being said is that the fact that you are in union is not, you are not aware of it because you are in deep sleep. You're completely unaware of it, but you're reaching that point every time you go to deep sleep. So this is something that's confirmed, and I mean I think even Vedanta makes a reference to this multiple places on how the supta avastha, right? So you have the dream, the sleep, and the jagrat avastha. Jagrat avastha and swapna, shushupti, and jagrat. I think shushupti is the closest to God realization.
So
Any comments?
yeah. So I just want to add that you beautifully summarized it. But we are like we have the union, but we're not cognizant or we're not aware of it.
Correct.
Yes,
Correct.
that's the say, good term to use, not to use consciousness and unconsciousness. We are
Cognizant
not
is a good.
cognizant of. Okay.
Correct. Correct. We don't, again, cognizant is nothing but recognize. Cognize, recognize, cognizant. So we are not recognizing the true state, though we are getting to that state every night. Every night. So good morning to those of you in the east. So you forgot your self-realization in your deep sleep, and you're back to being, again, this expression is beautiful. You become aware of the self-same humdrum individual, right? Self-same humdrum individual. So what happens, what do you think happens to sanskaras when you're in deep sleep?
First, we pause,
Huh?
pause on getting the new sanskaras.
No, in the deep sleep, no new sanskaras are created. It's mentioned, I think, somewhere. In deep sleep,
That's
no.
why I said, yeah, it's pausing of your sanskaras creation. And maybe after you get up, again the sanskara creation gets started.
Correct. So it's not just creation, even the whole, see, you cannot reach realization if samskaras exist. It's a 0 and 1, right? So you cannot have the experience of realization if sanskaras exist. So, like you said, a good analogy is it's like put on a pause or a freeze or um, uh, um, suspended state. But that suspended state is revoked the moment you wake up. So the moment you wake up, you just get back to the same drama. I mean, it goes back to exactly uh, uh, the suspended point where you were before. So you remember your name, you remember your nature, you recognize the people around you, and then life goes on, right? So another way of powerfully understanding this is, if you remember the times when you recollect a dream, at the end of a dream, when you wake up, suddenly everything around you comes back to old realization. Oh, this is Karthik. I am here. I am next to me is this. Next, my son is sleeping there. Oh, so this is reality hits you, right? So that happens every time you get out of deep sleep, right? So
So
that's
if I just sleep and eat, so I
Mhm.
will have the minimum sanskaras. In my life, if I just sleep and eat, then I will have the
No,
very minimum sanskaras. Yeah.
you think so. Eat. So there is this famous joke, right? So there was this, uh, I think, a monk who said that I want to limit my exposure to sanskaras. So he says, I don't want anything. And then what starts with trying to get the rat killed, he gets a rat into his hut. So for the rat, he gets a cat. For the cat, he
Yeah.
needs milk. He gets
Yes.
the cow, and
Yeah.
then the cow
I,
needs help. He gets married.
I heard that story. Yeah.
Yeah,
Then
yeah.
he
So
become businessman. At the end, he become
exactly.
businessman.
I don't know about that, but you know how that progression is. So it might start with being attractive, saying that all you need is food. How do you get the food? Think about it. How do you get the food? So to get food, you need to do something, or you need money. And to get money, you need to do something, and to do something, the cycle starts, right? So the true state is renunciation and sleep. So that gives you minimum exposure to sanskaras, minimum exposure and opportunity for creation of sanskaras. But in everything else, it's difficult. But that's the test. And Baba's message is about how you can get to the state of God realization living in the world, right? So he says that you can do it as long as you recognize the true values and put them in practice every waking moment, right? So
Yeah. Yes.
The distinction between sleep and say wakeful avoidance of sanskara. Sanskara is suspended in sleep, so you can avoid sanskara only voluntarily by action in the waking state, being conscious that I need to get rid of this sanskara. So there is an effort involved in getting out of sanskaras, say, clutches. But in sleep, it is just suspension and then
involuntary.
involuntary, and then you get back to the same state afterwards. So trying to sleep away out of sanskara is not possible.
Correct. So
Yeah.
again, thanks to your use of the word action for sanskara, I was reminded that sleep and inaction, but conscious inaction, right? In the waking state, if you're able to practice conscious inaction, right, then you're in a better position than action. Action is the
Yes,
source, right? Action is the very clear source. Action can be eating, can be thinking, can be doing something to make money, to doing all the stuff that we are used to as humans is action. But inaction is closer to sleep because your sanskaric activity is not being put to use, right? Sanskaras are voluntarily suspended with your effort
yes.
suspended. Yeah, let's continue.
Okay. Conscious union with infinite reality. A perfect master is consciously united with the infinite reality. In his case, the chasm between consciousness and unconsciousness is bridged not by the extension of the unconscious over the conscious in bracket as with the person who enjoys deep sleep bracket close, but by extension of consciousness over unconsciousness. The waxing and waning of consciousness is applicable only to the limited individual. In the case of the perfect master, the conquest of unconscious by the conscious is final and permanent, and therefore his state of self knowledge is continuous and unbroken and remains the same at all times without any diminution. From this, you can see that the perfect master never slips in the ordinary sense of the word. When he rests his body, he experiences no gap in his consciousness. I heard some story about the Sai Baba also. Means he was the, like he was Sadguru, but when he was sleeping, there are certain stories. Means no one should see like when Sai Baba was sleeping or something, and where people saw that one, there certain things happened. So that's what I heard, but not sure.
So, firstly, I think I hope everybody understands this concept that's brought out here, which is the perfect master actually never goes to sleep. He is the he does the in his sleep, consciousness envelops unconsciousness, right? Extension of unconscious over the conscious, right? And but it's the reverse in the case of a perfect master. I hope that point is clear. Now to
Yes.
get back to specifically what you pointed out, which is uh, Sai Baba. Yes, I think there were many things that I think in Satcharitra also there is reference to uh, experiences that are described where he has gone. He has also said, "I will be traveling astrally in sleep and then come back to the body and so on and so forth." Right. So
Yeah, yeah.
protect. Yeah, there are many instances that are covered.
I think if you imagine sleep, I look at it in two ways. One is uh, we become unconscious. We mortal souls like us become unconscious. That is one aspect in sleep. The second aspect is the gross body requires some sort of a rest. So we go into that plane where we do not use our gross body for any activity, and so there is rest given to the gross body. So whereas in a perfect master, the second aspect may happen. He rests, but the first aspect is not there. He doesn't become unconscious. He is conscious, but his gross body goes for a sort of a rest. That is how we can partially understand this. Sai Baba.
Yeah, Mamaji, valid point, but I think it's beautifully explained in the book Listen Humanity uh, on page 120. Of course, it's around 1.5 page, but I think they really summarized it well there.
Okay. We have read it and forgotten. Okay.
If you can if everybody is game, then I can read it.
I don't mind.
So it's on page um, 120 of Listen Humanity. I'm starting from the beginning. It'll be one page. Just bear with me in patience. Sleep stands in the same relationship to consciousness as death does to life. Death is not the annihilation of life, but its transference to another state of being. In the same way, sleep is not the annihilation of consciousness, but its withdrawal into a state of abeyance. Whether latent as unconsciousness or manifested as consciousness, consciousness is always there. The matter may be summarized as follows. After going to sleep, when man ordinarily enters the ordinary dream state, he has no consciousness of the body. The link with the physical body remains intact. Pain and pleasure are experienced for a short period. The man wakes up in the same physical body. After physical death, man enters into a dream state and he has no consciousness of the body. The link with that particularly physical body is snapped for good. Because the link with the gross no longer exists, he experiences pain or pleasure, states of hell or heaven far more intensely, whether for a long or short period. He wakes up in the gross in another physical body. The passage from sleep to wakefulness consists in the passage from A, unconsciousness, to subconsciousness, and finally to full consciousness. Normally, for the ordinary man, these consist of sound sleep is equal to unconsciousness, dreams is equal to subconsciousness of duality, roused from sleep is equal to full consciousness of duality. When a man almost loses consciousness, as in high fever, he is subconscious, as in dream state, but he is rendered unconscious through drugs such as chloroform. He is unconscious, as in the sound sleep state. Unconsciousness always involves a temporary return to the original, beyond state of God, regardless of the cause, whether it be sound sleep, drugs, or physical accident. So I think this summary, and those who are very enthusiastic can read page 120, 21. This is the chapter called The Cycle of Sleep and Waking in Listening Humanity. I think it's that probably could give some answers to what we are discussing.
Yes, yes. Thank you.
I have just one more paragraph, sorry. Although the subject of path and its discipline is considered in detail later, it is of interest to note in this connection that for those on the path, the three states are A, the beyond state of God is equal to unconsciousness. Experiences on the path, real subconsciousness of duality. C, roused from illusion of duality is equal to real consciousness of God or self. Jai Baba. I hope I didn't confuse, but I hope I could brought some light on whatever was being discussed.
You brought some light and also you brought some other ideas into the sphere. Okay. So I was thinking about, say, sleep and waking is going into another body also. So we get back to the same body, but when we apparently die, we wake up into another body. So only difference between those two, how I understand, is play of evolution, or the new body in the gross form is just a baby, and so it goes through different stages till it becomes an adult or capable of understanding things, and then experiences all the sanskaras uh, which were with it earlier and added on from the package, then goes through a new life, apparent new life. So this is a
Absolutely.
complex.
Do
Yes.
do soul has consciousness like after leaving the body? Means, I
Hmm.
read like that the body, the soul stays there for a certain time. It sees or then it go for this further journey, right? So do the soul has that time as a consciousness, or the soul is unconscious that time?
No, soul is
So when
conscious, but it is not attached to the body. So that's why they say for 3 to 5 days after the uh, death, that soul is hovering around and it is able to understand what is happening around. But the others do not experience the presence of that soul.
right,
So
yeah,
that is what they say. And after that, it actually goes off and then doesn't have any connection with the cross body or the circumstances or the surroundings under which it was living earlier.
Mama, if you can we can simplify, we can say that the body is just like a costume. The soul goes into another body. And I would
Yes.
also like to highlight at this point uh, pages 238 and 239 of God Speaks. that is supplement 19. There's real birth and real death. So we only
Yes, yes.
we are born only once and we die only once. But you know,
That is the welcome death for
So,
realization.
absolutely.
is
So I
there,
think that's that's page 238, 239. We can revisit when we read God Speaks, but we can. It's very, very, very. It's just one page, but it gives a lot of significance. Jay Baba.
one more thing is like when soul takes the another body, that soul doesn't remember anything, right? From the last what that soul has done in his last birth or before that birth. If he would have known, he might have known like what are my sanskaras balance, and he might have take the actions on the to fix that sanskaras balance and everything. But the problem is he that soul doesn't remember. So anywhere in the book somewhere it mentioned like why soul doesn't remember what happened previously in his previous birth or anything. One reason might be last birth, suppose might be that relations, right? Mother becomes some other relation, sister become some other relation in the next birth or something. That might be the one reason. But any other reasons mentioned somewhere like why soul doesn't remember anything in the births?
Uh, I
Yes.
don't know actually, but remembering will create a chaos. So maybe that is the reason there is a system where you don't remember the whole thing,
Yeah, one,
but you
one
have a
reason I can
package.
definitely
Yes,
understand. One reason definitely I can understand this, but suppose my father is here, right? Might be last birth, we may be rival, right? Anything might happen. So that
yes.
might be the one reason. But apart from that, do we? Is there any reasons like if we would have known, like, okay, this is my balance of sanskaras, I would have take the actions on that one. Okay, I need to fix this kind of sanskaras, right? So it's
Well, the
anyway.
whole of sanskaras and then getting rid of sanskaras is in the sphere of unconsciousness. That is the apparent consciousness in the gross world. So I don't know actually what is the reason, but the probable reason is that if you know the whole gamut of your evolutionary memory, you will not be able to manage. So the purpose of this apparent birth and death is just to uh, get rid of your sanskaras. Purpose is that. But we do wrong things and then accumulate new sanskaras. Maybe we reduce only a very small part of our sanskaras. But the reason behind or the purpose behind this is to get rid of sanskaras. So that's why maybe it is better not to remember what happened earlier or how we accumulated all these sanskaras.
You're right.
Maybe that is the reason.
Mamaji, you're right. It is not to tax your mind with what has happened in the past, because that is the history, and so that if you are allowed to go back into your past lives, it will be immense strain on your mental energies, and
Yes, yes.
it's better that we move on the path and try to move towards the path of God realization. So it's if we are burdened with all the past history, it is immense strain and it is not it doesn't help in the path. So
Yes, that
because
is,
of that, God has sort of erased it from our memories. And if we come to know about it, it can also lead to a person becoming unnecessary, you know, burdened with with facts which are not which probably do not help you in the past. It can also, it's mentioned somewhere, it can also lead to madness.
yes, yes.
Jay Baba.
Yeah, Baba. Okay, let me continue. State of perfection. In the state of perfection, full consciousness becomes consummate by the disappearance of all obstacle to illumination. The conquest of the unconscious by the conscious is complete, and a person continuously dwells in the full blaze of illumination, or as one with illumination. He becomes illumination itself. As long as a person remains under the sway of duality and looks upon manifold experience as being true and final, he has not traversed the domain of ignorance. In the state of final understanding, a person realizes that the infinite, which is one without a second, is the only reality. The infinite pervades and includes all existence, leaving nothing as its rival. A person who has such realization has attained the highest state of consciousness. In the state of full consciousness, in the state of full consciousness, which is the fruit of evolution, is retained, but the limitation of sanskaras and desires are completely transcended. The limited individuality, which is the creation of ignorance, is transformed into the divine individuality, which is unlimited. The
We have lost you. The page is also not visible.
Hello, Jay Baba. Somehow it
Ah,
got disconnected.
okay.
Yeah, your page is also not visible. Can you bring it back?
Yeah. Can you see my screen now?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
So I
The
had a little
limited,
issue and I got jumped out. I mean, I got thrown out for a few minutes. I hope it went on fine. Anything I
Yes.
missed?
yeah, you missed one discussion. I raised one point and you missed that
Uh,
one.
okay, good. Anyway, now I can read as well. So let me know.
Yeah. The illimitable consciousness of the universal soul becomes individualized in this focus without giving rise to any form of illusion. The person, the person is free from all self-centered desires, and he becomes the medium of the spontaneous flow of the supreme and universal will, which express divinity. So, Karthik, do you want to continue from here, or
Yeah, I
shall I?
can read.
Shall I?
I can
Yeah,
read. I
yeah.
can read.
Let me just mute myself. Just a second.
No, basically just one paragraph left. So I think
Okay. Yeah. Let me finish that paragraph then. Individuality becomes limitless by the disappearance of ignorance, as it is unimpaired by the separateness of Maya and un, unentangled in its duality. It enjoys the state of liberation in which there is a objectless awareness, pure being, and unclouded joy. Such a person has no longer any of the illusion that perplex and bewilder man. In one sense, he is dead. The personal ego, which is the source of the sense of the separateness, has been forever annihilated. But in other sense, he is alive for forevermore with unconquerable love and eternal bliss. He has infinite power and wisdom, and the whole universe is to him a field for his spiritual work of perfecting mankind. Yeah,
A big point is being made in the last line, right? So
yeah.
after after you reach that state, if you continue in the gross world, what happens? If the person reaches self-realization and continues in the gross form, he has infinite power and wisdom, and the whole universe is to him a field for his spiritual work. Of what is his spiritual work? It's only perfecting others.
Others.
So So that's also hinted at beautifully, not given too much importance. But then in this, in the advanced souls, we understand that a perfect master comes back. I mean, a perfect master is basically one who is able to sustain in the gross world after self-realization. And after that, his only role is to perfect mankind, help others get to the same state that he is. Right. So that's a good point. Yeah. Will you be able to continue showing the screen? You can,
Yes.
right? Yeah. So the next, so any thoughts on God and the individual? There was another Lord Meher link in Trello. Can we read that? There was a reference. It's page 700 if you're finding it, or you can open the link directly. I'll read. No problem.
Right.
No. On Lord Meher, it's page 700. So you'll have to get the link from Trello.
Okay.
Go to God and the individual. Yeah, I'll read. If we find any illumination anywhere in scriptures, it is in the Hindu Shastras and Vedanta. But they too are only a shadow of my explanations. None of the great masters in the past has given such explanations as I have. They were great masters, great avatars, and they realized so many souls. However, what they gave or left to the world was only shariat, sweet syrup. They only gave internal knowledge, gnosis, to their close disciples, who were very, very few. So to the whole world, they gave shariat, which he says is sweet syrup. But we have learned in, I think it's Beams or another place where there are multiple rules of knowledge. The lowest Shariat, right? Shariat, Tariqat, Marifat, and Hakikat, right? So I think Hakikat, I'm not sure. But basically, Shariat is the rule base, the basic rule base, the human laws, let's call it, right? But he's calling it sweet syrup here. And he says
Yes,
they gave they
following that is becoming bittersweet.
correct. 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 So they only gave internal knowledge, gnosis, to their close disciples who were very, very few. So he says that these masters did give God realization and inner secrets to the mandali, their mandali. What they said and what was written down into books was only the knowledge and rules of rituals and ceremonies appealing to the ordinary minds of the time. The only grave error that the mass of humanity commits is that they take the Shariat as the goal of realization instead of the way to it. Right? So we give too much importance to Shariat. While what I give is the explanation of the knowledge that is beyond the scope of the ordinary intellect to grasp and understand, even though these explanations are mere shadows of the real knowledge, they are beyond mind to follow. What I explain is a subject beyond the comprehension of the mind, and it is given in brackets only to those who are prepared to digest it, not to everybody. For all can neither grasp it, nor tolerate it, nor even bear to hear it. For example, I say you all are God, whereas Islam and all other religions claim you are servants of God. I say Muhammad was fully conscious God incarnate, but the Mohammedans say he was only sent as a messenger. The same is the case with Zoroaster and Christ. I say that all your clapping, bhajan singing, tying the Parsi kushti, and praying namaz are merely drills. Only take one name of God, give up anger, lust, and greed. This is all that is necessary. But the orthodox section of any religion would blow out my brains if they heard me uttering such words. And I pity them all. Why? Because they are so narrow-minded, so shallow in their vision, and because they do not wish nor try to come out of this state of mind. I say to you, do not be cowards like them, fearing hell and the anger of God for accepting these truths, which are real truth. The very foundation of all my explanations is sanskaras, which no religion has explained. I have put it so clearly and logically. Nowhere are sanskaras explained so elaborately or so eloquently. Now, guess what? It's a good reference, a very good message, but I don't know how it is appropriate to God and the individual. So, what would have happened is in that discussion in 2021, there must have been a topic which talked about either Shariat or probably some reference to this Baba's message, and then we have posted it here. So, again, documentation is good, but complete documentation is important. So we should put an annotation as to why this page 700 was given. Any thoughts? Any ones with sharp memories who were there in that session as well? Sunil, Mamaji?
No, I don't remember anything.
Yeah,
Maybe.
Can't remember. Sorry.
yeah. So likewise. Anyway, now we'll go to the next chapter. Any other thoughts on God and the individual? So this is a very important chapter. So I think we covered quite a bit as we saw in those para headings. Actually, let's see them again. Let's see the para headings again so that we absorb the learning. So God is the only reality, apparent existence of the finite, cause of false thinking. What is the cause of false thinking? It's sanskaras. Scope of full consciousness. What is the nature and scope of full consciousness? Individualization of full consciousness, and that is from the time of the whim. So the individualization starts at the point of the whim and then goes on going through the phases of evolution. Separateness exists only in imagination. Objective universe, that's the creative universe, and then triple entanglement and duality. Very important concept. GSM and individualization handled together. Chasm between consciousness and unconsciousness. And he's getting us to the deep sleep point. So before that, chasm between consciousness and unconsciousness. Well, how do you make spiritual progress, spiritual advancement? Deep sleep we covered, and conscious union with infinite reality and state of perfection. And in the state of perfection, he hinted the perfect master. That is one who is able to continue in the form, physical form, will go to a state of perfection. Right? Any closing comments, thoughts, questions? And then we go to next chapter, which is perfection. Or actually, we can wrap up as well so that we can do a clean start on next Sunday. We can continue discussing on God and the individual and then wrap up for the day so that we do a clean start on perfection in the coming week.
Karthik Devava, I'm not used to the Trello. Can you put that link, whatever you have just stated about Baba's Baba's statement on this sanskaras and perfect masters in this chat?
Sure, of course. Yeah, I can do that. It's page 700. So you know how you can get to a particular page as well, right?
Okay, 700 Lord Meher, right? Online,
Yes, 700.
right?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Page number 700.
Anyway,
Okay,
I'm putting
perfect,
it.
fine.
I'm putting it here as well on the chat as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Somehow I
So-
missed that discussion on Lord Mayor. What is the gist of it? Please.
So we are also figuring out the relevance of that 700 to God and the individual, because the message more is about the wrong focus of humanity on Shariat and how Baba has given the greatest secrets about sanskaras and the full knowledge to everybody, which has not been done by any avatar before. That's my summary of what that page is. But how it's directly relevant and why it's linked up in Trello, I do not know. I do not remember from the last instance.
Maybe we should re-listen to our earlier.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
that's a good point. Yeah, we have the video. All we need to do is go to the video and we'll know why 700 was mentioned.
yes.
Like I said, if you do documentation, we have to do it completely.
Mm.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah. Okay, so I think anything else on God and the individual?
Only thing which comes to my mind is say when we say I am God,
Hmm?
but I am not aware of that now, right now.
Correct.
That is one concept. But even after realization, I remain an individual soul, but in union. So
Yeah, this is
this individualization and retention of this individualization is not so very clear to me right now.
no. This
So
has been
if
plaguing us from a
yes,
long
yes,
time. If you remember,
yes, yes, yes,
last times we have come across this, we have been thinking about it. But let
yeah,
me tell you where I have gone from those initial doubts. So the initial doubts, why do we feel that individualization does not persist after realization, after God realization? The reason we think like that is we are conditioned with the words Tatvamasi, we are conditioned with the words union, where we somehow think that the merging means that we also use the word merge, right? So all these are used in the Vedantic vocabulary. I'm talking only from a Vedantic standpoint, right? So merging, union, you become one with God, aikyam in Sanskrit, and so on, right? So our
yes,
visualization is constantly that there is a dissolution of the individual soul. But Baba clearly and in multiple references says that that's not the case. You are fully conscious. You are fully in that state of individual in that individual state, and you experience full knowledge, power, bliss, and get to the state of God realization. The reason why I think I support, I feel more comfortable now with what Baba is saying is you still need a locus for God realization. You need to stand somewhere to see that view, right? When I'm saying I'm God realized, who is that I?
yes,
It's that unit. It's that unit, that locus, which has to persist to go through that experience. Further logic of that is, if I am a perfect master, that I'm continuing to stay in a body after getting God realization, what is that? That is still individualized. It
yes,
happens
yes,
to be in complete consummate union with full access to knowledge, power, bliss that the infinite has, but it is still that particular perfect master. There's no
yeah,
distinction between that perfect master and that. So I'm a little more comfortable with that thought now than when we first encountered it, Mamaji. But these are my ways of
yes, yes,
rationalizing it.
yes, yes. No,
Right.
in this perspective, if you bring in Buddha's doctrine of
Mhm.
nothing at the
Nirvana.
end,
Yeah. Nirvana meaning nothing. Yes.
so that is you become the say a drop. You have become a drop, and then you go back to the ocean. Ocean remains the same. So there is no you after that.
Correct.
Maybe these are things which bother us
Yeah, we
sometimes.
have to continue thinking, but then
Yes,
my current status firmly with Baba's explanation is the U continues, but the
yes,
U is now the big U, I mean the big Y U, and has capabilities that were unimaginable, and obviously have full access to, basically now it is one with God.
Yes, yes. Yes,
Cool.
this
Others,
is
any questions, any thoughts? Yeah, you were saying something, Mamaji, when I interrupted.
every time it becomes an issue, and then some clarity, some new clarity comes up. That's why it's better always to discuss and then try to understand better. Because one's realization may not be the same with the other. So when we together discuss, so realization till that time was part, and then now it becomes slightly more whole. WHOLE.
Temporary academic understanding, not experience.
Yes, yes.
Temporary because after some time we forget why we accepted it or what we
Yes, yes,
discussed.
yes, yes, yes.
Yes, but welcome to the world. We are all at the same. I mean, I am at that state too. Uh, so, anybody else? Any thoughts? Any inputs before we wrap up? Then I have some fun stuff to share. I'll tell you where I am when we stop recording. Okay,
There was
so yeah, go ahead.
sorry, there
Go
was
ahead,
one.
Venkat.
Yeah, there was one discussion about the sanskaras. What is the benefit of that? Once we are once we are born again, why we are not able to know the reason behind why we don't remember the past sanskaras. I think somewhere in Meher told that no, I mean it is most of the cases, or I mean for everyone, it is they can't remember the past birth details and all. But he also mentioned that in some rare cases where the death is sudden or unexpected, something like accident or something like that, they may have relatively small hint of what happened in the past births. So that's the reason nowadays where we have a lot of no, I mean incidents where children and others are able to remember some of their past births. That is what is going on, and we have a real case. I think we have a case in India where the lady's name is Devi, if I remember, and she was remembering her past birth, and because she was remembering her past birth where she had an husband, this birth she didn't marry because she said my husband is still alive, so I don't want to marry. So maybe this is one reason why I think. I mean, so she is still continuing with her past sanskaras, and she is not still not able to uh, cut throat or cut short her sanskaras. So that is the reason I think if we remember our past sanskaras, then we will still continue with those attachments.
Yes, yes.
Okay, what's the question before which I have some important comment? What's the question?
Yeah,
Or
I
it's
think there was a query about why we should why we are not able to remember our past sanskaras.
okay.
So what is the
So
benefit? Yeah.
So let me
So I
first
think
start.
yeah.
Let me first start by saying, please don't use the word sanskaras. The
What
past
what
life
no no what was
memory.
the no, no, what
The
was the
past.
question? Let me repeat my question again. That question
Okay.
raised by me.
Oh, it was
So
your
the
question.
question was,
Please. Yeah.
yeah. So we never remember our last births, right? Means previous
Correct.
births we never remember.
Correct.
The one reason might be yeah, uh, as we discussed, there might be some chaos, right? The last birth, suppose this birth my father might be last birth, he is my rival, right? That might happen because it's too much sanskaras connected, and we take the birth with the same kind of people. So that kind of chaos maybe happen. That only one reason I can understand. But if we know the last birth sanskaras, to fix it or to balance it, I can take the proper actions in my next birth. So that was my question. If I would have know what was my previous birth or previous sanskaras, I would have fixed it in the next birth. So that was the topic of discussion, and then it went to
Okay, that's the one I missed. Okay, so
mm,
now I understand it better. But please remember, sanskaras are constant. Sanskaras don't go away from birth to birth. I am talking semantics here, language. Memory of past life is lost when you drop your body. The two are different. So sanskaras is the continuous, persistent aspect, right from your first animal or stone form birth to your current form today on this call, whatever form we are in. To that birth, the sanskaras are a continuously carried forward. That is carried forward in the mental body. The mental body is the receptacle of. Yeah, Sunil, you're saying something?
We put a definition somewhere, if I remember. Is it on Trello? Sanskara definition?
Oh, really? Let me
We
check
were
it.
at one point discussing that we should define keywords.
Yeah, so.
I think probably we are referring to the memory, not to the sanskaras.
Yeah,
because
not. So first distinction is that.
Yes, and
now to the
internally memory.
practicality.
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, now to the practicality of it, you hit the nail already on the head. You cannot deal with certain realities in practice. Only a perfect master can do it because he has a state of universal mind, right? So you need your current faculties of mind cannot process multiple births data, multiple births memories, not sanskaras, memories. You cannot process it because when you process it, you'll be confused and you'll want to react in that multiple levels. So it's not possible. And you'll lead to funny situations, which are, I mean, it's not funny to due respect to the lady that you mentioned, right? So it's a very complicated situation because time is different and you can have experiences where people from your last birth show up as somebody else in this birth, right? So it is a practical reason that memories are not there. As you rightly said, Merkiran, stray cases more as an anomaly, not as a gift or not as a grace. You remember your past birth, right? It's more an anomaly. Sometimes, and of course, there are also people who do past life regressions. And as you said, science also today acknowledges that yes, there is a past life, right? There have been lab experiments that have confirmed that, right? So I think to the long and short of it, memories are by design of the divine rules, the divine order, are lost when you drop the body. Sanskaras persist. I think that's what I would say in summary. Does that help, Ashish and Meher Kiran?
And another thing is, I don't think there's a too much relation between brain and your mind also, right? So mind might be connected with your soul and the brain. When I'm taking the birth, the new body, right? New
Yes.
brain and new memory. So that is another reason. Probably.
Yes, mind is not to be confused with brain. Correct. Mind is different. Mind is the mental body, and that is the stone also has a mental body, and then we also have a mental body. The stone's mental body, as it goes through the evolutionary cycle, carries the sanskaras with it to the human form even. And brain is, brain is not at all to be confused with mind. Unfortunately, we learn and immediate association goes there, but it's different. Yeah, good point. I saw Mamaji say something.
No, I did.
Oh, okay. By the way, I didn't find that definition for sanskaras, but I read something beautiful yesterday, which was the definition of sanskara, and I'm struggling to remember where I saw it, but it was fantastic. So it'll come back. My brain is muddled up now. It'll come back. I'll post on the group and in Trello for everyone's benefit. It's a beautiful definition that I read. And it came from an unusual place, but it's Baba's definition. So, yeah.
I think Sunil's point of trying to define sanskara from sources properly fished out may be a good exercise.
Yeah, very good point. And we should save it and keep it for everybody's access.
In fact, we discussed, Karthik.
We did it? Okay.
We discussed.
I remember that Sunil has done something on that. We had.
Oh, Sunil, you are the culprit. You forgot now.
In one of the previous, say,
Discussions. Okay.
discussions, it had come up, and I think so.
We
I'm
did
not,
the cloud at one point, remember, Karthik? We picked up
Let
all
me
the-
let me
and
look it up.
yeah, then we did have an action item. I can't recall I did it, how much, or somebody else. You were supposed to put
no, you might have done a slide on that. I think PPT we have
could
seen or
be
something like that. If I'm
no, I
not that much clouded, I may be remembering properly.
have to check out. Yeah.
For me, it's as bad as a memory reset after a birth. I'm not able to remember anything now. We will come back maybe.
Okay.
Anyway, if we stop recording, I'll just show you where I am. Can you stop recording, Ashish? And we'll wrap up the call if there's no other questions. No other questions? So we continue with the next chapter in the next